Hello and welcome back to another session of Looksies. It's Byron speaking, and we are having a look at Conrod, an easy-to-use 2D graphical user interface library written entirely in Rust. And, well, it's pretty interesting to look at that. I mean, sure, nice page here, and there are a few widgets already, but it's more interesting to try it out. So for example, here's this, luckily there's this great all widgets example, which you can use, you can do stuff and things happen. I mean, that's really, really neat. Oh, there, VSync is not enabled. You see it on my screen at least. That probably wants to be done. All widgets. It's interesting. I kind of go into the code all the time and kind of enable this VSync thing, just so that it looks even better, because if you increase the samples to 4, then probably quality is what you're up to. And VSync is what prevents the jittering that you get with fast movements. And in the moment it draws, it changes the color, then in fact, you see how the frame is drawn all the time unless VSync is enabled. So probably not visible to your eyes, but very visible to mine. There we go. So now if I move this, it's much better. Even though this adds some lag. I mean, now is to wait for the image to be synced to the screen. And I don't know, for some reason it adds some lag, even more than I would think it should. Anyway, so as you can see, there are plenty of widgets and I can hit buttons and do stuff. Oh, random color. And it's all linked up, but kind of manually. So I don't think there's a signal slot system. It's very simple. It also claims that it is an immediate system, and what I think that means, is something I will show later when we look at the code, which will be very soon. I'm just kind of using everything here to show off. Oh, look, I can select text. Interesting. Actually, I can type stuff here. Look at that. Very nice. There's a scroll bar. Interesting. It's kind of scrolling up too much. It can't clip itself, but besides that, it works. Yeah, I really like this envelope editor. I would like to use it for something like a sound curve or something. There is a library that can do that. Look at that. Beautiful. But yeah, I will turn that off because I will overheat my graphics card real quick. And then things go down. But I'd like to have a look at the code here just to see how this works. So we have a demo app. I think this is the state of the app. So whatever happens is stored and done here. So for instance, what happens if I add a new envelope? How's this done? So here we initialize this stuff. As you can see, this bool matrix, that's the image that you see initially, the buttons. Okay. Here we use the bool matrix. Column row. Oh, there's a widget that is a matrix. Awesome. And then you have a callback for each widget that can then set up whatever you want to set up, and you can put in there what you want to put in there. So that's kind of nesting of elements, which I find, which can be very powerful, I think. Anyway, the envelopes. How is that state changed? So demo envelopes Y. So it's a vector of a tuple of points and a name that's a string. So all this state that you see on screen here, that's indeed stored here. Okay, how do we do it? We go through that list. I wonder why it's done like that and not like that. You could, in a way, you risk an out of index problem here. Instead, you could just iterate over the envelopes itself, right? And unpack it here, because that's a way to destructure your item as well. Well, I don't know. However, the interesting part is to learn where points are added here and how that works. It seems that it's done implicitly because there's no callback or something that would change the envelope directly here. So that's the points, right? That's the points vector. Here's a React callback that indeed gets the points. So it gets all the points and the index of the point that is handled, but it does nothing, right? It's empty, so it shouldn't be doing anything. Yeah, what's really interesting here is that every item here has an ID, a unique ID, I guess, which you can probably use to refer to it, and you put it into that UI here. What is that UI? Let's see where we assign this. UI is a new UI, which seems to be kind of the parent object, the root object that keeps all the widgets. But how do we set it up? So initially it's empty, then we create our state, and then we basically just draw it once there is a draw callback. However, during draw, it seems we set up the entire UI and do the computations needed. So everything is set up per frame. And I think this is why it's called immediate mode UI, right? You do everything on the fly, it seems. And my question is, doesn't that use too much CPU just because you create the stuff all the time? Where's the advantage? Maybe the advantage is that you don't really keep state around, that it's all on the stack. I don't know. After all, if you set it, I'm guessing that the UI kind of keeps a vector that grows and gets the stuff that you put in there. And my question would be if it's possible to kind of build it only once and then keep it and refer to these items, get them out of there again, and somehow change the values. I don't know how that works. No idea. But that's very interesting. I mean, it works, and that's really the important point. Yeah, and at the end, you just draw the UI itself, which then goes through all the registered widgets here and does something. Under the hood, they use element task. So if you have a look at LMask, which is a purely functional graphical user interface library, which is good to know because you know that there's even a lower level for you to use if you like to do that. Oh, it needs JSON IO. Yeah, and both of them, they use Piston as backend, which is pretty neat. So Piston really is the de facto standard if you want to do anything with graphics. And I think it's very well made. I like it. Yeah, so that is Conrod. And I'd like to use Conrod just to get to know it a little bit, because what I would like to do is to have a UI for some image that I draw myself. So that way you could, for instance, create a noise texture and put some sliders here that allow you to manipulate that and then render it in real time. How cool would that be, just as a kind of demo, huh? So anyway, I think that's it. That's it about Conrod. I like it, and it's definitely good to have. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.